Hello everyone, and welcome to this month's Zoom Intersections newsletter. Can you believe it is our final newsletter to wrap up 2020 and the fall semester? My name is Chris Campbell, my pronouns are he, him, and his, and I'm one of the assistant directors in the Office of Multicultural Education. Zoom Intersections is our monthly video newsletter where we highlight previous and upcoming programs and events in our office. We share stories from students and opportunities to get involved with our office. If you missed our last newsletter, you can check it out on the Holy Cross Student Affairs YouTube page. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Let's dive into this month's newsletter. First up, we have Amy talking about National First Generation College Celebration Day.
On November 8th, colleges and universities are encouraged to celebrate National First Generation College Celebration Day. It's held annually to celebrate the successes of first-gen students, faculty, and staff. Traditionally, the HC First Scholars on campus hold a week of programs, and OME helps to host the HC First Mentor Dinner, which brings together over 100 students, faculty, and staff who are first-gen and are strong allies. This year, we created and shared a video from campus partners and alumni who shared their messages to first-gen college students and why they believe National First Gen Day is important. The video can be found on OME's Instagram page. We also worked to infuse the first-gen topic into both a Watch Wednesday documentary discussion as well as a Lift development session. The Watch Wednesday had over 35 participants, including an entire Montserrat class, and we watched the documentary First Generation. The Lift development session was titled First Gen Realities During the Pandemic, Balancing Family, Jobs, Imposter Syndrome, COVID, and so much more. In this session, we had 3 alumni panelists who shared their experiences these past 9 months in the pandemic and a multitude of responsibilities they are juggling. They discussed mental health, the importance of self-care and boundaries, tips on navigating the imposter syndrome in the workplace, as well as how to highlight the skill sets they attribute to their first-gen identity in a job interview. Overall, it was a fantastic National First Gen College Celebration Day, and we look forward to having folks together over a meal and sharing community in the future.
A huge shout out to Amy for all the work that she does to develop programs and initiatives to support, empower, and amplify the voices and lives of first-gen students at the College of the Holy Cross. Amy, thank you. Another Lift Development program that we hosted in November was a webinar on how to make a plan to save for home ownership, which was hosted by Savita Heen from the class of 2011. Participants walked away learning so much about the home ownership process. If you need access to the video recording, please reach out to me directly via my email address. Now, I'll turn it back over to Amy to talk about Trans Awareness Week.
Transgender Awareness Week is a time held annually from November 15th to the 20th. This is a time to both celebrate and bring awareness to the issues the transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming community faces. This week also leads up to Transgender Day of Remembrance, which is held annually on November 20th to memorialize all of the transgender people whose lives were lost due to anti-transgender violence. In 2020, there have already been at least 41 transgender or gender non-conforming people who have been violently killed, the majority of which are Black and Latinx transgender women. We say at least because oftentimes these stories go unreported or misreported. In November alone, we saw the following trans folks lose their lives far too soon. November 4th, Skylar Heath, 20-year-old Black trans woman in Miami, Florida. November 17th, Yuniski Carey Herrera, also known as Uni Carey, a 39-year-old Latina transgender woman in Miami, Florida. November 20th, Asia Janae Foster, a 22-year-old Black transgender woman in Houston, Texas. November 22nd, Kimberly Fael, a 55-year-old white transgender woman in San Jose, California. And November 23rd, Chamisha Sims, a Black transgender woman in her 30s in Richmond, Virginia. Not just on these days in November, but every day, the lives of transgender individuals matter. If you're a member of the transgender and gender nonconforming community here at Holy Cross, know that you are loved and you are seen.
After listening to Amy, you might be asking yourself, how can I become an ally? Here are some tips. But first, let me preface this by saying, this list is not exhaustive and cannot include all the right things to do or say, because often there are no right answer to every situation that you might encounter. But when you actively become an ally for trans folks, your actions will help change the culture, making society a better, safer place for the trans community and for all people who do not conform to conventional gender expectations. First up is that you cannot tell if someone is transgender just by looking. Transgender people don't look any certain way or come from any one background. Don't make assumptions about a transgender person's sexual orientation. Gender identity is not the same as sexual orientation. If you don't know what pronouns to use their name. If you must ask which pronoun the person uses, start with your own. For example, hi, I'm Chris and I use the pronouns he, him, and his. What about you? Don't ask a transgender person what their real name is. For some transgender people, being associated with their birth name is a tremendous source of anxiety, or it is simply a part of their life they wish to leave behind. Respect the terminology a transgender person uses to describe their identity. Transgender people use many different terms to describe their experiences. For example, transgender, transsexual, non-binary, genderqueer, etc. Be patient with a person who is questioning or exploring their gender identity. Understand there is no right or wrong way to transition, and that it is different for every person. Help make the Holy Cross community a place that is truly trans inclusive. At meetings, programs, and events, set an inclusive tone. Listen to transgender people. Learn that transgender people are not new. And finally, know your own limits as an ally. Speaking of becoming an ally, I will now turn it back over to Amy to talk about the Becoming a White Ally for Racial Justice Workshop series.
This semester, as shared in a previous Intersections video, we hosted the workshop series titled Becoming a White Ally for Racial Justice. We had over 60 faculty and 20 students participate in all 5 workshops. In the student sessions, we had some great conversations and were able to share many resources and made plans for future goals in their ally journey. When asked what was the most valuable piece of information you learned from the workshop series, one student stated, I learned that allyship is about decentering myself to uplift and support people of color. I have to continue to reflect on my intentions and anti-racist actions I take to ensure I'm supporting the movement for marginalized groups instead of trying to appear like I am. A second student added, the most valuable piece of information I learned was that being uncomfortable and making mistakes is a part of the process of working towards being an effective ally for racial justice. When asked if you would recommend the workshop to a peer, one student shared, I would recommend this because it made me more aware of racial injustices, and the workshop also encourages people to take action to help, which is very important. Where a second student shared, absolutely, I had a very worthwhile, fulfilling, and impactful time and think all white people need to engage in these discussions, reflections, and work. Overall, we look forward to infusing your feedback from participants this semester and running the workshop series again in the spring, so keep your eyes out for registration forms coming out mid-January.
As we begin to close out, we would like to thank you all for engaging with this new newsletter format. If you have any suggestions or ideas, please let us know. I also want to reiterate that the OME staff is here to support the Holy Cross community through community building and providing a supportive virtual space. One way to connect is via the Lean On Me group chat through GroupMe. If you would like information on joining the chat, contact us at our office email, which is ome@holycross.edu. You can follow us on Facebook at Holy Cross OME. You can also find us on Instagram at holycross_OME. OME staff members are also available for individual meetings via phone, Google Meet, or Zoom. If you need to schedule a time to speak with an OME staff member, please email our office or reach out directly to a staff member. To close out, here is a message from Michelle Rosa Martins.
Hi, everyone. I'm coming to you at the end of a very long semester and wishing you a really restful break. The Office of Multicultural Education will be taking some time off in the next 2 weeks, and we hope that, this winter break is good for you. It's good for your body, your mind, your soul, and good for your family members. We want to wish you a really good and strong end to the semester. Some of you may already be done, and some of you may still have some lingering things to do. Either way, please prioritize your rest and your health. We will see you next year, sending you love and light from the Office of Multicultural Education.